June 19, 1984. Ricky Kasso brutally murdered his friend Gary Lowers in a satanic ritual, then bragged about it to his friends. This guy was a young psychopath who thought he was invincible, and he wasn't the only one. Here are some of the most evil kids in history. Kosta Kecmanovic. A school shooting in Serbia has left 8 students and a security guard dead. The suspect, a 13-year-old male student, May 3rd in the early morning, the peace and quiet of Belgrade, Serbia, was suddenly disrupted by a chilling phone call to the police. A young voice confessed to a horrifying act, saying,
"I'm Kosta Kecmanovic, and I've just shot several people."
Just an hour earlier. Kosta here, a year-old boy, had walked into the school like it was any other day. But beneath that calm facade lurked a dark intent. Once inside the school, Kosta pulled out his weapon and gunned down the school security guard and 2 female students who were standing in the hallway. He would then reload his weapon and proceed towards his classroom. There he unleashed a hail of bullets, claiming the lives of 7 more students and leaving 5 others wounded. The shooter then made his way to the courtyard, where he made that fateful call to the authorities. Kosta surrendered to the police without resistance. But believe it or not, due to his age being below 14, which falls below Serbia's age of criminal responsibility, Kosta couldn't face legal charges and was simply placed under the care of a psychiatric hospital located in Belgrade. The Ministry of Internal Affairs later disclosed that Kosta had been planning the event for a month, carefully choosing which classrooms to target first and creating a list of students to prioritize in the shooting. It was also revealed that he had received training at a shooting range with his father, who legally owned the pistols used in the incident. Now, what really surprised everyone was that Kosta was never bullied and came from a well-known Belgrade family. His father is a respected radiologist, and his mother's an assistant professor of microbiology of the University of Belgrade. Yet this didn't stop the events from happening, and even though Kosta never went to court and charged shortly after the shooting, the prosecutors alleged that the father bears responsibility for his son's familiarity with firearms. He's accused of taking his underage son to a shooting range, a decision deemed highly inappropriate for someone of his son's age, and failing to secure the weapons properly in a locker. Currently, the father is under investigation for potentially committing serious offenses against public safety. On the other hand, Kosta's mother faces charges of criminal child neglect in her defense. She stated that she noticed nothing unusual in her son's behavior on the morning of the tragedy, aside from a certain lethargy at breakfast and while preparing for the day. She recounted that after dropping her daughter off at school, she left Kosta at home to get ready. About an hour later, she was shocked to receive the news of the shooting at the school. Initially, she contacted authorities under the impression that her son was a victim. It was only upon arriving at the school that she was confronted with the harrowing reality. Her son had taken the lives of 10 individuals. July 18, 2023. Kosta was questioned in the case against his father, which was related to acts against public safety. He admitted that his father taught him how to load the gun and change cartridges. He also said that his father admired how he shoots accurately. Kosta also revealed that his interest in the tactical shooter game Valorant played a role in shaping his thoughts. Further influenced by a documentary that referenced mass murder, he finished his testimony by saying that he had changed his mind and regretted committing the shooting, and if he could turn back time, he wouldn't do it again. I'm sure the families of the victims wish they could turn back time as well, but unfortunately, that's not possible. Mitchell Johnson and Andrew Golden, March 24, 1998. After several months of planning, 2 young boys aged and unleashed a deadly rampage at their middle school in Arkansas. They killed 5 people and injured more before the police captured them. And you might think that they were close friends, but that's not the case. Mitchell and Andrew barely knew each other, except for riding the same bus to and from school. They were in different grades, with Johnson in 7th and Golden in 6th, and they had different personalities, backgrounds, and interests. But they did share one thing: a dark and violent side that they had kept hidden from most people. Now Johnson had a troubled family. Life having a strained relationship with his father. He was known to be a bully at school and talked a lot about wanting to join the Bloods. He also had a history of disciplinary problems and was even charged with molesting a girl. He would often express anger and resentment toward others and hinted that he was planning something big and bad. Golden, on the other hand, seemed to be a model student and a good kid. He was polite, cheerful, and well-liked by adults. He was really close to his family and enjoyed shooting guns with him, and had won several awards for his marksmanship skills. But behind all that innocence, Golden had a cruel and sadistic streak. He liked to shoot animals with his BB gun and showed no remorse as he did it. But as the day of the massacre approached, the boys bonded over their twisted plan to unleash chaos. They stole 9 weapons and rounds of ammo from Golden's grandfather and loaded them in Johnson's mother's van, along with camping supplies and snacks. They pretended to miss their bus on the morning of the attack and drove to West Side Middle School near Jonesboro. AR saw they parked the van in the woods behind the school and waited for the right moment. Golden pulled the fire alarm at 12:30 p.m. and ran back to join Johnson. As students and teachers came out of the building, the boys opened fire from the woods. They shot at random, aiming for the head and chest. The shooting lasted for about minutes until the boys ran out of ammunition. Then they tried to escape with the van, but were stopped by police who had arrived on scene. They showed no remorse for what they had done, and on that fateful day, they had killed 4 students and 1 teacher. Shannon Wright, who was also fatally shot as she bravely shielded a 6th grader from the gunfire, saving the student life. They also wounded others now. Despite the gravity of what they had done, the boys were too young to be tried as adults. So they faced a juvie court there. They were found guilty of 5 counts of murder and 10 counts of assault. By August 1998, they were sentenced to confinement until they reached the age of 21, which was the max sentence available under Arkansas law. The prosecutor stated that he would have sought the death penalty if they were older. Johnson and Golden spent their 10 years behind bars, but their troubles were far from over. August, the Johnson was released from the institution, and despite spending most of his youth behind bars, he still hadn't learned his lesson. This guy was still drawn to guns and drugs. January 1st, 2007, he was arrested yet again in Fville, Arkansas. He had some marijuana and a loaded gun in his car, and for that he was given 4 more years in prison now. During his sentencing, the judge expressed dismay that Johnson hadn't taken advantage of the chance to reform. He told him,
No matter your sentence, you still have a life. Those killed in 1998 do not.
But again, Johnson's troubles were far from over. Now, while he was in prison, the authorities discovered more crimes that he had committed while he was free. October 7, 2008, he admitted to stealing someone's credit card and having more marijuana. He was given another 12 years behind bars. A few months later, he was charged with another theft and identity fraud for using a stolen card at a Burger King. This added 6 more years to the sentence. July 2015, Johnson was finally released under the supervision of the Federal Probation Office in Texas and was enrolled in a drug rehabilitation program. Now, what about his partner in crime? May 25, 2007, Andrew Golden was released after having spent years in prison. He would change his name to Drew Douglas Grant and move to Missouri there. He tried to keep a low profile, but wasn't able to hide his identity for long. He applied for a concealed weapons permit in Arkansas under his new name as expected. His application was denied by the Arkansas State Police, who noted that he had lied on his application about his previous residences and declared it was illegal for Golden to own or possess a firearm. After that, Golden stayed out of public eye for the next decade until his death. July 27, 2019, Golden was driving on a highway in Arkansas when he crossed the center line and crashed into another car. He died at the scene, along with the other driver, marking a fatal end to a troubled life. Michael Hernandez. When Hernandez was just 14, he became obsessed with serial killers. Instead of spending his life playing video games and hanging out with his friends like a typical teenager, this guy was glued to a screen researching gruesome crimes of some of the world's most evil people. His fascination with these killers would take an even more twisted turn when he decided he wanted to follow in their footsteps. Thankfully, Hernandez was stopped before he could become a serial killer. However, He did tragically take the life of one person of Southwall Middle School in Palmetto Bay, Florida, where he was a student. February 3, 2004, Hernandez set out to begin his journey to becoming that serial killer. He armed himself with a knife, gloves, and an oversized jacket before heading to school that morning, intending for this murder to be the first of many. Hernandez had chosen his victim, Andre Martin, but his plans were thwarted when Martin declined his invitation to go to the boys' bathroom. Martin later told detectives that he had a gut feeling something was off when he asked him to go into the bathroom. Determined to carry out his deadly plan, Hernandez approached his friend Jamie, go with the same invitation to go into that said bathroom. Sadly, Go, trusting his friend, accepted the offer and followed Hernandez in there. This kid never suspected that his friend would harm him, but tragically, his trusting nature led to his untimely death. Once inside the bathroom, the boys walked into the wheelchair-accessible stall. Hernandez told his friend to turn around and then attacked from the back, stabbing him a total of 42 times. After that brutal stabbing, Hernandez then would slit his throat, so now Michael casually just stashed the knife in his backpack, tossed the gloves beside it, and headed off to class like it was just another day. But a Sharpie teacher noticed his hands were stained with blood. Right around the same time, another student found the body of Jamie Go. They had entered the bathroom and saw him slumped over the stall, covered in blood. The staff wasted no time calling the cops, who arrested Hernandez not long after they found the knife in his backpack when they brought him in. And when they searched his house, they stumbled upon his journal, complete with a chilling kill list. Turns out Hernandez had this whole plan laid out about everybody he wanted to kill, including his own sister. He had his tactics all figured out, and in this other entry, he had a shopping list for the murder kit. Now, Hernandez tried to plead insanity, but the court really wasn't buying it. September 2008, he received a life sentence. April 29, 2001, Hernandez died while serving time at Columbia Correctional Facility. His cause of death was listed as cardiac dysrhythmia, attributed to morbid obesity. He was 31 years old. Jasmine Richardson. It is truly shocking when kids commit murder, but it becomes truly twisted when they go and kill their own parents. That's the most haunting thing about the case of Jasmine Richardson, the youngest person ever to face multiple murder charges in Canada. This girl was 12 years old when she and her year-old boyfriend Jeremy Steiny slaughtered her entire family in cold blood. April 23, 2006, a neighbor made a gruesome discovery. He saw the dead bodies of Mark and Deborah Richardson through a window of their house. Upstairs, their son, Tyler. Jacob was also brutally killed. The only one missing was their daughter, Jasmine. At first, the cops feared that the killers had kidnapped Jasmine, but soon they had realized that she wasn't a victim, but a suspect. The crime scene revealed clues linking her to the murders. And the next day, they found her and Jerry miles away from the scene. The couple were arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Now, how did this happen? How did a -12-year-old girl become a ruthless killer? The answer lies in her twisted relationship with Jerry Stee, a goth and self-proclaimed negative 300-year-old werewolf. We're not joking. They met at a punk rock concert and fell madly in love. Her parents were appalled by her boyfriend and his dark influence, so they grounded her and forbade her from seeing him again. But you know how that story goes, and they were determined to be together even after they were caught. They remained loyal to each other. Jeremy even proposed to Jasmine in jail, and she said yes. It'd be easy to assume that Jeremy, here being the older one in the relationship, was the one who came up with the plan. Guess again, evidence told a different story. A chilling message from Jasmine at Jeremy revealed her deadly intentions. Another message posted by Jerry on his online account showed their twisted motive and ruthless method. Payment: my lover's rents are totally unfair. They shall pay for their insolence. Their blood shall be payment. Less than a month after those messages, Jasmine's parents and brother paid with their blood, just as Jeremy had promised on that fateful night. Jeremy had attacked Jasmine's mother and father downstairs, stabbing him to death. He then went upstairs, where Jasmine proceeded to stab her brother Tyler in the chest while he pleaded for his life. Now the reason for killing her brother, she said, was that it would have been cruel to leave him alive without his parents. So hours after the murders, Jasmine and Jeremy were laughing and kissing at a nearby restaurant. June 2007, Jasmine Richardson went on trial. She was 14 at the time. She pled not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. The trial lasted approximately a month, and after months of deliberation, the jury returned the verdict guilty on all 3 counts. November 2007, Jasmine was given years in prison, which is the max sentence allowed by the Youth Criminal Justice Act in Canada. Richardson's boyfriend and accomplice, Jeremy Steiny, on the other hand, was sentenced to 3 concurrent life sentences in prison. Unfortunately, Jasmine is not the only child on this list today who has made the horrific decision to brutally end the lives of their entire family. Mason CIS now try to imagine killing your own family just because you were annoyed by him. That's what Mason did here when he was just years old. September 29, 2019, he mercilessly shot his parents and 3 siblings in the head in their home in Elkmont, Alabama. He said he did it because he was fed up with them. Mason CIS now will spend the rest of his life in prison, and an Elkmont teenager who was convicted earlier this year of killing 5 of his family members will spend his life in prison without the possibility of parole. September 7, 2023. He was sentenced by Judge Chad Wise, who said the crime was ghastly disturbing and draped in unmitigated evil now. This kid was found guilty of 4 counts of capital murder for killing his father, John Sisk, adoptive mother, Mary Sisk, and siblings Kane, Rory, and Coulson. The jury didn't take long to decide. They reached that verdict in less than 2 hours. Limestone County District Attorney Brian C.T. Jones said in a statement that Mason was one of the scariest people he had ever seen. He wrote, "And I could tell you that out of all those people, only 4 out of 5 people scare the hell out of me, and he's at the top of my list." Of course, because he was too young when he committed the murders. Mason avoided the death penalty before the sentencing. The family members of the victims spoke in court. Mary Sisk's brother, Douglas Prater, said. Mary Sisk's sister, Katie, also recalled how their mother didn't believe Mason was the killer until she saw the evidence. The deputy attorney also mentioned that there have been allegations that John mistreated Mason. But even if that were true, he ended up extending his revenge to the entire family right after his arrest. Mason first lied to the police that on the day of the murder, he was in his basement playing video games when he heard gunshots and ran outside to see a car driving away. Still, when he realized that he wasn't fooling anybody, he confessed that he was the one who pulled the trigger. An audio recording played in court revealed that Sisk told the investigators why he did it. Prosecutors said that Sisk had anger problems and had threatened his whole family before murdering him. They revealed an earlier attempt on his stepmother's life, where he had deliberately mixed up peanut butter into her coffee, fully aware of her allergy. She ended up surviving that initial attempt, but sadly fate wasn't as kind to her the second time.